Okay, I am going to try to do this to the best of my abilities. I hate trying to describe my books and try to like sell myself to people, but I'm just gonna give it to you straight. If you like series books, I have my very first book and then series that I've ever written. It's called the Collision series. 2 of them are standalones and the first 2 are a duet. So you have to read Collision first and then Avoidance second. You have to read them in order. She's a black cat. He's a golden retriever. He's been in love with her secretly since they were kids. They were like in different circles. He was the popular guy. She was like the loner chick. And after like a horrible tragedy strikes in her life, he starts to come to her rescue. But if you wanted to just start with the standalones, you could. I mean, why would you want to? Just go from book number 1. I have The Other Brother and Against the Odds. This is my favorite in the series. It's a tattooed MMA fighter. What more could you want? He's a broody bad boy who's misunderstood, and she's the new sunshiny, like quiet girl in town, and she has like a huge secret, and he finds out. My hockey series is, I think, what I'm most known for, so if you're in your hockey romance era, this is a series for you. This is also my spiciest books that I've ever written, so this is also where people love to start. Heart Trick is fake dating. He's a grumpy goalie, and she's like the funny, quirky, like super curvy, sexy heroine that lives next door. Odd Man Rush is an FFM, which means it's female, female, male. They are all best friends since they were in high school, and they start to film on a spicy website, if you know what I'm saying, and things get really steamy. This is my number 1 steamiest book ever, so if you're into a threesome, then go for it. Pug Pact is probably my favorite in the whole series because he is a single dad. It's a marriage of convenience. She's a black cat, and there's just so much, like so many tropes that I love in this, and it's just my favorite. Dating the Boss and Back to You are standalones in the same elementary school. They are also my rom-coms, and a lot of people don't realize that like I'm actually hilarious. Enemies to lovers, and they have an epic prank war in the school. He's her principal, and she's a kindergarten teacher, so it's very taboo. Back to You is a second chance romance. It's sweeter than the first one, but there's a lot of great storyline here. Then we have my standalones. Bring Me Back is my number 1 favorite book I have ever written in my entire life. It is about a suicide survivor. I am one as well. And there's a hot cop that lives next door. There's a lot of steam in here, but there's also a really heartfelt, emotional storyline. Someone You Love is grumpy sunshine, forced proximity, and he is also a disabled ex-NFL player. Inevitable is a bodyguard forbidden romance. Their families hate each other, and he was hired by his father to take her family down. So he pretends to be her bodyguard and is trying to like snoop through all of his things. But of course he falls in love with her instead. She is also a badass biker chick with tattoos, red hair, and wears combat boots. So What's Left of Me is my most emotional story that I've ever written. She is in a domestic abuse situation, and she's trying to figure out how to plan her escape from her husband, and her best friend who lives across the street, her brother moves in with her because he's gone through something terrible, and he meets her, and of course they're going to be falling in love, but she needs to get away from her ex first. Trick or Truce and Dear Santa are standalone kind of holiday novellas, I guess. Trick or Truce is like if you're in your Halloween fall vibes era, where it's actually a true story. My neighbor's teenage son across the street stole my candy bowl right off my porch on Halloween. Like not just the candy, like took the whole bowl, and it was like a pass down for me from my grandparents, and I never saw it again. So instead of talking to them like a normal human being, of course I wrote a book about it. He's a grumpy single dad. She's a sunshiny heroine. They get into a little bit of an enemies feud, and then they turn into lovers after she becomes his daughter's tutor. In Dear Santa, you have a really hot, broody, grumpy ex-rock star. He is a suicide survivor, and he's just like bah humbug for the holidays, like your girl. And he meets this feisty, quirky girl as she barges into the bar, and she's telling the bartender this crazy story about how she had to hire professional help to pose as her boyfriend for the holidays because her mother is the literal worst. And he's listening to her talk, and he's like, "You're gonna go and meet a stranger? That's not safe." So he pretends to be the guy that she's meeting at the bar, and he winds up going with her on her little family vacation getaway for the holidays. Steamy, heartfelt. and it's written by a Grinch, so it's not like over the top, super annoying Hallmarky type of a thing. All of my books are on Amazon. They are also on Kindle Unlimited if you like to read ebooks, and you could also request them to be in your stores wherever you live.